Whether for marriages, events, or influencer shoots, many of our pictures will be clicked by photographers during our lifetime. But if a photographer uploads those pictures online to an image sharing website, do we have rights to restrict the photographer from doing that? I'm Arati Ganeshan. I'm a journalist at MediaNama, and I'll be exploring this question that recently came before the Bombay High Court and why it matters in an age where image sharing takes place at a dizzying pace. Before I do that, let's examine the case the High Court had to deal with. The case surrounded a dancer's pictures that had been clicked with her consent by a photographer in 2019. The photographer then went on to upload the images to websites like Pixabay, Digital Studio, and Pinterest. The problem is some unknown person went on to upload those pictures to an objectionable website. Naturally, the dancer faced some amount of distress on account of those images being uploaded to objectionable websites, and she filed criminal charges. Her larger argument was that the root cause was the photographer's initial act of uploading the images to these websites. In court, the photographer's counsel argued that there was no evidence to suggest that he'd been instrumental in uploading the pictures to objectionable websites. Just to be clear, the photographer moved the Bombay High Court to quash the charges that had been filed against him. He also added that the dancer had uploaded the pictures to Pinterest too. Now, while the case is still pending, on November 30th, the Bombay High Court did temporarily stay the criminal charges filed against the photographer. He'd been charged under various provisions, including Section 66E of the Information and Technology Act, which criminalizes privacy violations. He was also charged under Section 354C of the Indian Penal Code, which criminalizes voyeurism, or when a man captures the image of a woman when she'd have the expectation of not being observed by the perpetrator or anyone else who at the behest of the perpetrator disseminates the image. He was also charged under defamation provisions too. Now, on the face of it, this seems to be a case about the non-consensual dissemination of images of the dancer online, and that is true. But in some sense, it's also about copyright and what rights we have over the images that are taken of us. The copyright experts that we spoke to were clear that hypothetically, it was the photographer who would have copyright over the pictures and ownership over how they would be used and where they'll be published. But the lawyers added that if the usage is objectionable, the dancer, or any victim in this case, could potentially ask for the image to be taken down. These are important rights to think about, especially given that we live in an era where images on the internet can be transmitted and edited in sexually exploitative and harmful ways. Just think about it. For example, India's content creation industries are booming, and besides that, so many people upload images of themselves to social media for fun and entertainment. In this light, remaining cautious about who really owns your image and aware of who's liable when it's used without your consent for potentially harmful purposes is a critical part of staying safe online and a policy question for regulators to be thinking about as well. Only the Bombay High Court's pending ruling will tell us if the photographer was indeed liable for this act that was committed by an unknown third party. But until then, it would be wise for all of us to exercise caution when sharing pictures of ourselves on an internet that can be good, but can also be equally bad.